Hello, welcome to Tuesday Business News Report. It's now time to bring a feature on the show today as we look at the state of the economy through the lens of food prices. Now, the National Bureau of Statistics says the prices of some food items in the country increased in the month of September. Well, this is coming despite the country's headline inflation slowing in the last 6 months. Now, in its selected food price watch data for the month of September, the average price of 1 dozen agric eggs, medium-sized, increased year-on-year by 25.84%, on a month-on-month basis by 3.31% to hit 604 naira 99 kobo, from 585 naira 64 kobo recorded in August. And similarly, the average price of 1 kilogram of local rice increased year-on-year and on month-on-month basis by 4.95% and 0.01% respectively, to hit 410 naira and 1 kobo from the 409 naira 97 kobo recorded in August. Also, the average price of 1 kilogram of tomato increased on a year-on-year basis by 19.28% and decreased on a month-on-month basis by 13.66% to hit 342 naira 24 kobo in the month of September. Joining me now to discuss this and much more in our Lagos studio, I have John Akerele, Agribusiness expert. Good to have you on the breakfast show this morning.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having me.
We're seeing some gradual upward movement in terms of the price of egg and then local rice, but we're seeing a downward shift in terms of the price of tomato. What's the element of seasonality that's affecting this price movement? Tomatoes come down a little bit, but it's expected to still likely go up again. Onions as well is a little bit out of the season. We just have the smaller bulbs that are around, but we're also seeing sharp increases in the price of egg and rice. What's fueling this?
I think if you look at what is happening for rice and egg, that has to come from our poultry segment, which means we have more of these small-scale poultry farmers. That is the effect of their inputs into the larger market. So you see that the price of egg is actually reducing. Now, when it comes to rice, I would still not agree with you on that particular statistic for rice, because if you go to the market now, there's an increase, and mind you, we are approaching our festive season.
Yes, that's what I said. There's an increase in local price.
Okay, so we are approaching our festive season, which means that the increase will also be higher. That is just the normal norm. But then, if you should look at all the factors that necessitate the increase of all of these food commodities, we have talked about this time and time with that number. When you have consumption, we should have something that will pull back. In a case where we consume more and our barns are depleted and we don't have a way of putting them back, tilling the ground so that we can produce more, price increase will be the way to go for us.
And I'm talking about the element of seasonality now, looking at the wet season we experience. And which items, food items, do you see us recording some price decreases? We are getting closer, inching closer to the Christmas festivities. Every Nigerian is counting down. The salaries remain same, the wages remain same, sources of energy and other services are skyrocketing, so we are trying to save as much as possible. So for those who want to really stockpile now, which products would you say, or items, food items, would you say are the ones that would likely see at a cheaper rate?
We have more any product that comes from cassava. Because now that we are approaching this season, we have more of cassava production, and then that shows that you have more of your gari, you have more of your fufu, you have more of your starch, you have more of cassava flour, which can also be used in bread production. But I don't think we've been actually utilizing that aspect of cassava. So in this season, we are going to have more produce coming from that particular food product, and I think Nigerians will have an alternative for them to sow gari during Christmas.
Do you think we're going to see a replica of what happened last year? Now, for the price of onion, we saw over a 300% spike. Now the onions you have in the market are the smaller size ones. They are wet, not necessarily even dry, and a whole lot more. So do you think we're likely going to see that pattern of spike?
It's a constant case for me. And if you know, we look at this, these are things that we have discussed before, looking at food security. All that we are seeing now is as a result of the adverse effect of food security that we did not take seriously. And that is what we are facing now. So for the price increase, that for me is a constant key. And will it go higher than 300%? David, it's a yes for me. So by the time you get to that point, you see that John said it to you, and now it's happening.
But John, now the conversation we still have to tilt towards is looking at new food hubs. We've had this conversation severally, and it's difficult for state governments to really take as much action, apart from the likes of Lagos State and other states taking agriculture a little more seriously now. What do you think are the blind spots of the state governors that are not making this an agenda? Feed your citizens. Why is it so difficult?
That will show you the kind of leadership that we have in this country. These are people who are not empathic about the people they govern. You understand? In a state where you know you have people, you have a population.
John, I ask this because we have insecurity largely threatening the northern part of the country now, and we still have towards the southeast and then southwest region still relatively stable, hence the creation of new food hubs to ensure that we don't necessarily have to rely on the northern belt as much. Yes, that's a natural food basket, but we have to now start looking at new creations. Why is it so difficult for government to see the need for this?
David, it's still
the spikes are clear, don't you think?
The point is this: when somebody does not see that he's doing wrong in a particular segment, there's no matter of shouting that you do that will make that person see that this thing is wrong. Now, if you know that this is a matter of necessity, that you must respond to these issues. Food, in anything, food for me is number one. Once food is settled, every other issues becomes second or secondary. You understand? Now, when you know that you want to create food hubs, there are so many ways you can do that. Okay, can we bring up food produce from the farm and bring them to our food hubs and preserve them for consumption of our people? Yes. Do you know the number of people that are in your state? Do you know the number of land mass that you have? Do you know the number of agricultural produce that you produce from your state yearly? I don't think they know. And if they know, with that, they should be able to now make a forecast of this is what we consume monthly, this is what we consume annually, this is what we produce, and this is how we can get better at it. Now, if it means that we need to collaborate. In Lagos, we used to have the likes of Lake Rice. I don't think we're in November now, David. December is coming. I've not heard anything about Lake Rice. Are you saying that Lake Rice is no longer functional? That's a question for the government to answer. So if by December there's no Lake Rice in Lagos this year, then you see that something is wrong somewhere. And then the government must open their eyes and go back to their drawing board and reschedule or redraw that plan which was executed then, that is still possible, and that is where for us to go as a people and as a government.
And another trend we're seeing now is that Nigerians are trying to stockpile or buy in bulk ahead of the festivities. What sort of pattern do you see playing out this year from the markets especially?
What I think will play out here, David, is the buying capacity. If you want to stock foodstuffs in your house, it means that you have good money in your pocket. In a case where you're buying, your pocket is not as big as you want to, you cannot stock anything in your house.
You can also wait till the festivities because the price hike is going to be much more
So intense. What are you going to do? You earn 30,000 naira minimum wage and a bag of rice is over 30,000 naira. So are you going to buy only one bag of rice and stock? What about your children's school fees? What about your NEPA bills? What about your utility bills to pay? So it means that the KPI that we're looking at here and what is available on ground, the variables does not really match. So if you say you want to stock now, go ahead and stock. But I can assure you, the one you are stocking will get finished, the increase will be there, but the money to buy will not be there anymore. So these are the variables that we must always check. So for me, it's not a time for you to stock, but it's a time for you to be strategic about your food consumption and also talking to your family as to changing your food pattern or food combinations. So if I've been eating rice before, maybe it's now for you to move to other, variables that are still starch based.
And then wrapping up our conversation now, just looking at as a whole, I had barely a few days ago someone come and speak on livestock as well. The price of chicken is expected to go higher, looking at fish as well, and a whole lot more. How now, seriously, do you think we can likely bring down the cost of food items? Still with this current situation we have on ground, do you see any mechanism to reduce the cost of food?
Yes, and that is on the government. Last time we spoke about this issue, we talked about the government interjecting or giving out stimulus packages to these people so that, it can cushion some.
That's going to be difficult for government.
Then if there's no way to go about reducing these prices, because you cannot talk to somebody who is a processor now, who knows the cost of running his own processing plant to produce this finished product for you, and they are sealed and packaged, and then you want to determine the price reduction for that same producer. It's not done. So they look at their own overhead costs and then they look at what they are producing. They put a profit margin and they give you the selling price. So if the government can come in that chain of production and say, okay, we'll help you subsidize this, we'll help you do this, we'll produce this for you, or give you this facility. Do you understand? That will reduce the burden on the overhead cost, and also it will bring about reduction in price of gross products.
Well, we'll definitely keep our fingers crossed to see what sort of body language government is going to emulate, especially as we're looking towards the year 2022. It's time to take action. We cannot just play lip service to agriculture and feeding the nation. The food crisis cannot continue to persist in this manner. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me, David.